they're hypocrites at best because, no, not only the hypocrites, they're bottom feeders, they're opportunists. These are men that voted for the $1 trillion tax cut.
So
And that,
so Rand Paul's claim of fiscal responsibility, you call BS on because he's proven that he is willing to run up the deficit.
He was the 51st vote on that bill. Remember that, and he was given everything by the president and Mitch McConnell to be that 51st vote. But you cannot cherry pick and choose when you want to be a fiscal conservative. Shame on him. That's not even about politics anymore. We're talking about being a good human being.
I think the short answer is we're going to pass the 9/11 emergency bill. We always deal with this tragedy, and we will do that, and we will do it shortly.
Shortly.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've been in constant contact with Mitch McConnell's office ever since we've had that meeting, and I don't agree with Mitch McConnell's politics, but he's probably been the most honest person and most sincere person to me since that meeting. And I actually take him at his word right now that we're going to get this done and that we're going to have a clean bill. And nobody's going to add any crap to it. Nobody's going to take any crap from us. And we're going to walk away the victor. And again, we're not going to celebrate when we get this bill passed. You know, we lost 2 people in the last 2 days. We continue.
In the last 2 days?
Yeah, we lost a firefighter. We lost a firefighter and a detective from the NYPD. This is constant. You know, I keep tracking the calendar year from September to September and how many people we lose. We're at 161 people since September 1st of last year.
So can I ask you that? When Rand Paul and Mike Lee, people might say there's no effect here because the bill's going to pass eventually anyway. Yeah. But does it have an effect because they keep delaying it?
Well, I mean, there are people at home watching the news right now. There are people at home waiting for a check to come in the mail. There are people at home that got a check that was cut 50 to 70%. Yeah, it has an effect. Not only do they deal with their illnesses like cancer and pulmonary fibrosis, they were diagnosed with post-traumatic. And now these people are at home worrying about their future. They're worrying if the United States Senate, where bills go to die, if our bill's going to make it out alive, which it will. And I'll make sure of that. Jon Stewart will make sure of that. And the 35, 40 people that I bring to D.C. will make sure of that.
There are lots of reasons why people voted Brexit, but many of them are covered by one word: sovereignty. Brexiteers don't like to share it. From how many fish you can catch to who gets to live here and which court ultimately has the final say over British citizens. Many Brits get pretty cranky at the idea of having to follow rules and regulations set in Brussels, often by people they haven't voted for.
Almost 3 years after Britain voted to leave the European Union, the future of Brexit is less certain than ever. Theresa May has stepped down as Conservative Party leader after failing to get her withdrawal agreement through Parliament 3 times. Her resignation sparked a leadership contest within the party to find a new Prime Minister, and each contender has a different view on Brexit. May will retain her position as Prime Minister until the new leader is elected, and will then pass the unenviable task of steering the UK through Brexit to her successor.
Well, it's no secret that the EU regrets Brexit and sees it as a historic mistake. If a country as large and as powerful as the United Kingdom wants to leave a club in which it helps shape the single market and benefits from security cooperation, among many other things, what does that say about the club itself? Nothing good. And so from the start, the EU's approach has been damage control.
The British pound has slumped since the UK voted to leave the EU, and it could fall even further in the event of a hard or no-deal Brexit. Now, that may be some good news for tourists hoping for a cheap trip to the UK and for some British businesses which are export-heavy. But it's bad news for many. The cost of living for Brits is rising as imports become more expensive, and it's a similar story for some British businesses which have to import raw materials. Plus, all the uncertainty over what the future trading relationship will be between the UK and the EU, well, that's forced some businesses to already hit their contingency plans. Big banks, for example, have already moved some operations from the UK to the EU.
The UK has been in decline for a century. Brexit is a milestone on that downward trajectory. Far from taking back control and turning the UK's fortunes around, it will leave the kingdom's citizens more isolated from allies, alliances and markets. Economic growth will be slower, intelligence sharing curtailed. But it's not as bleak as it sounds. The UK still has clout. It remains one of the 5 permanent members of the world's most powerful diplomatic body, the UN Security Council. Change won't be overnight, but the future as it comes will depend more on the billions of people beyond its borders than in the past.